Yep. Up for 7 minutes, Mr. Angus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Sylvester, Mr. Massingham. I'm very interested in how AggregateIQ obtained is it $5 million in contracts on the Brexit vote? Mr. Massingham, did you get those contracts through SCL?
No.
I'm just interested because when I look at the SCL Commercial Elections and Social Group Management, you are listed as the head of SCL Canada. So did you go rogue on SCL? Because
No.
no,
That we were never a part of SCL.
you're never a part of SCL. Well, you do realize that what you testify here is like testifying in court, Mr. Massingham. You can't make things up.
I do.
Okay, so I'm looking at their Trinidad, the agreement with SCL Group Trinidad on what work they will do, and it's AIQ that's going to deliver for SCL. I'm looking at their American elections pitch, and the key team members, number 1, number 2, Zach Massingham, Jeff Sylvester, SCL. I see their elections group management, head of SCL Canada, Zach Massingham. 4 spots to hire IT engineers, AIQ to hire, AIQ to hire, AIQ to hire, AIQ to hire. So, you're not part of SCL Canada.
No.
You aren't SCL Canada.
I am not SCL Canada.
Would there be any reason that you would take the fall for SCL? Because you've damaged your reputation substantially, don't you think, with this international crisis? Why would you guys take the fall for SCL?
If I could speak to that.
Mr. Massingham, he's listed as the head of SCL Canada. You aren't, so just trying to get a sense.
Sorry, I'm not a part of SCL.
Okay. So you received 40% from the Vote Leave campaign. You worked with the Democratic Unionist Party, Veterans for Britain, and Believe. Believe was a marginal students group that had an email contact list of less than 1,000, and yet they were given £625,000. They're under investigation in the UK for possibly circumventing the electoral finance limits. Do you believe that they should be under investigation?
No.
I mean, the investigation is, by the Electoral Commission. Of course, the Electoral Commission contacted us last year. It was around, where was it here? The March of 2017. And we answered all of their questions with respect to our relationship with Believe and with Vote Leave.
Okay, so it's really interesting. So Believe is this marginal students group that gets funneled £625,000. Now, if I was a student activist, that would be a lot of money for me to use. And yet they contact this group that's this Canadian company that's above an optometrist shop in Victoria and give them the full amount. And now that full amount of money was directed to ads in the last 6 days of the campaign. That would certainly be a way of circumventing the electoral financing limits. Do you not agree?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree? Well, it's interesting because Christopher Wiley is on the record, and he gave testimony, and like I said, testimony is supposed to be true. And he said he asked you if you were siloing your work because you had all these interconnected campaigns, interconnected financing, and interconnected Google Drives. And you said, Mr. Sylvester, quote, absolutely not. It was just one common ad program. That would be illegal, would it not?
Sorry, I don't know. I said, when did I say that?
That's what he says you said. He said, they conceded to me, and this is a verbatim quote, and I stand by it. I remember Jeff Sylvester telling me what you were doing was, quote, totally illegal.
So I did have a conversation with Mr. Wiley in April of 2017, well after Brexit. Mr. Wiley and I have known each other since 2005. And as part of that conversation, we certainly did speak about what the media was talking about the Believe relationship with Vote Leave. I've never believed that what was going on was illegal or that anything that we did was anything but above board.
Okay, but I mean, you could see how strange it looks that there was campaign financing limits and all the groups that were given money who seem to be fairly marginal names funneled the money to your company to be used in the ads. You shared the same Google Drive between these. and they are under investigation for evading the electoral limits, and it keeps coming back to AggregateIQ. Mr. Wiley also said that when he talked to you and had that conversation where he said that you said what was happening was totally illegal, that the two of you found this whole thing amusing, which I find is an interesting word, because he said you have to remember this is a company that has gone around the world and undermined democratic institutions in all kinds of countries. They could not care less as to whether or not their work is compliant because they like to win. So I want to go back to SCL then, because I'm looking at the SCL group's contract of which you are part of, and yet you say you're not part of that. So how could you be listed as a partner in doing work in Trinidad and Tobago through SCL if you're not connected with them?
We have done work for SCL, and we've not hidden that. We did a few projects for them starting in 2013 and ending in 2016. And for a few of those projects, we signed some contracts with SCL to do that work, but we're not a part of them.
Okay, would you say that that work was totally legal? Because I see getting internet service provider log files. Mr. Wiley says that you go around the world doing illegal work, and that's what you did in Brexit. How would you assure us that the Trinidad work was legal?
All the work we did in Trinidad was two things. One, to make a political customer relationship management tool for the client, SCL's client there. And the other part was to provide SCL with information on popular websites in Trinidad and Tobago.
But that's not what it says here. It says that what you were doing was gathering data for them that would include internet service provider log files. That's a very specific kind of work, which to me would certainly be questionable whether it's legal. You were doing that contracted by SCL.
Yeah, the information that we provided to SCL was simple, commercially available information on which websites in Trinidad and Tobago were popular amongst folks in Trinidad and Tobago.
So Mr. Nix was not involved with you in the Brexit campaign? Because, again, I just find it so odd, and nothing against your company, but, you know, you're set up above this optometrist shop in Victoria. Nobody's ever heard of you. Your only access through a website is through SCL Canada link that apparently you say you're not. And yet you got 40% of the Brexit contracts. You got all these front groups that were set up. The money was funneled to you. I'm just amazed that you guys have those connections. How did all that happen?
So to your first point about our website, we've had a website since before we were even incorporated, and I know that because I made it. With respect to how we got the work from Brexit, we submitted a proposal to the Vote Leave campaign. And that was at the beginning of, or end of March, beginning of April of 2016. And within a few weeks, they selected our proposal, and we started working for them once they became a designated campaign.
Leave. Thank you, Mr.
Leave came at the end of the campaign. They contacted us, and we did the work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. Next up for 7 minutes, Mr. Bayless.